Welcome to Salon Talks. I'm D. Watkins, and today I'll be joined by Reshma Saujani to talk about her new book, Brave Not Perfect, Fail Less, Fail More, and Live Bolder. She's also the founder and CEO of Girls Who Code. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Thank you, and thank you for this book. It's beautiful cover. Explain it.
Oh, I love you. Love that you love it.
Explain the title.
So, Brave Not Perfect. Look, I think that we raise our girls to be perfect and we raise our boys to be brave. And I think that toxic perfectionism is causing a lot of unhappiness amongst women, and it's causing this huge leadership gap that we're seeing.
Do you feel like we're in a movement where the culture is starting to shift, or?
I do, but you know what? I think the thing is, you're seeing bravery like on the biggest stage, right? You're seeing 4 women running for president. Mm-hmm. You're seeing powerful men be taken down. But what I want to see is like everyday bravery, right? So when like you walk into the coffee shop and you get cut off, instead of normally I'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, right?
Right.
Or when women are like staying in these jobs that they're like, but they really want to go do something else. Or they're staying in toxic relationships, right? All the decisions that you make in your life that you stay with because you're too afraid to do something else, that's what I want to inspire women to change.
So let's start by talking about your big brave moment.
So my big brave moment was when I was 33 years old. I ran for United States Congress here in New York City. I ran against a woman who had been there for 18 years. I was the first Indian American woman to ever run. And like, I had no chance of winning. Like the whole Democratic establishment was like, what? Like, wait your turn. It's like, it's not your time yet.
Right.
But I had been working, as a lawyer in finance in this job that I hated, that I was doing because I needed to pay my student loan debt. Mm-hmm. And like my soul was being eaten up like every single day. And I knew I had to go, but like I was too afraid to leave.
But it was liberating.
But it was liberating. So I run, I lose, and of course I'm devastated, but like, I was like, oh, like I'm not dead. Like failure doesn't have to necessarily break you. And I was also free to like, because I was for the first time in my life, in a long time, I was happy.
Was she mad at you?
Oh my.
Against her?
Yes, she's still mad at me probably.
Still?
I did 10 years ago what Ocasio just did, right?
Okay.
Except she won and I lost. And you don't do that in the Democratic Party, or especially in New York City, right? You're not supposed to run against insurgents. I mean, you're not supposed to run against incumbents. You're not supposed to be an insurgent. So it took some time.
And who was someone to tell you to wait your turn? Your turn is when you feel like it's your turn.
Yeah.
And that's like that's what we want to promote.
Yeah. Well, it's also like, we don't want, but I think so many women feel and are told that, right? It's not your time yet, wait your turn, practice a little bit more. It's why you see women will apply for a job if they meet 100% of the qualifications, and men will apply when they meet 60% of the qualifications.
Yeah, they'll just go in the office and talk about like sports
or
something like
that.
Right,
or fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it. Imagine like how great the world would be if someone told Trump to wait his turn.
Oh my God, he'd be like, what?
It'd be like some type of foreign language that he didn't even understand, and a lot of that comes with being a male and privilege and power. So, could you speak on socialization and how the different ways that young women and young men are socialized?
So I think all you have to do is spend time at the playground, right? And you'll see girls at the playground and their moms and dads are like, oh, careful, honey, don't climb too high. Or when they spill something on their dress, the mom's like run into the diaper bag to go fix it. And with our boys, we're just letting them like crawl to the top of the monkey bars and just jump. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't see how this played out until I had a son. Okay. My son's about to turn 4 in a couple days. And like even in my feminist household, my husband and I will get in a fight, right? My son, a year ago was like, I need a nightlight. I'm scared of the dark. And so I went out, bye-bye baby, bought the nightlight. I'd walk upstairs, put him in his crib, turn on the nightlight, go to my room. Mm-hmm. 10 minutes later, my husband would come up the stairs, right? Open the door, turn off the nightlight, Sean would scream. I'm like, finally, after weeks, I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I want Sean to be tough. I want him to be strong. And I said to him, Nahal, if Sean was a girl, would you let him have the nightlight? And he thought for a moment, and he was like, yeah, I would. So it's like things like that happen in such benign ways, though, but that have such huge implications, because what happens to girls when we start raising them to be perfect and raising them to be people pleasers, they get addicted to that. Mm-hmm. And they start giving up before they even try.
And I think we're just missing out a lot, just in society in general, with the way these things happen. Like, if you have a son and he's dating a lot of young women, then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, my son's ladies man.
Yeah.
But you know, the minute your daughter dates one guy, it's like, yeah, I'll kill him.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, and we shame her for that. Like whether it's her choices and who she chooses to sleep with, to the fact that like when she stands up and she speaks out against something that she thinks is wrong.
So was it difficult for you to be vulnerable when you wrote this book?
Oh my God,
to tell
so
personal
difficult.
stories?
You know, because I grew up like in this super, immigrant Asian household where you don't tell people your business.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even like talking about like my miscarriages, talking about my loss, talking about my anxiety about my weight, right? Really just personal things, my depression, right? Things that you don't tell everybody, right? That was hard for me. But I also feel like, look, I have, ever since I lost that congressional race, like, I'm really real about who I am. Like, I don't believe in being fake or inauthentic.
You feel like you were reborn?
I feel like I was reborn, yeah. I mean, it's a powerful way of saying that, but yeah, I do. Because you know what, the other way didn't get me anywhere, and I wasn't happy.
So now, that you put these things out there, you feel like, is there a potential to get some negative backlash from people, or are you at a point now when you like, who cares?
Well, I think it's like, for a while I was like, do I want my business out there, right? How are people going to look at me differently, right? But I also feel like, I believe that like God never gives you what you can't handle. And I think I've gone through a lot in my life because I share it. So like I openly talk about my fertility or miscarriage struggles because I want other women to realize that they shouldn't have to feel shame. I talk about my failures so that people don't think that everything's so damn perfect when you look on my Instagram page, right? Like, you gotta be real and honest about who you are and what you're, and the things that you're facing, because people are going through a lot of pain and suffering right now. And I think I learned that a lot by being around so many girls, and teenage girls, when you're going through so much of that anxiety about who you are and that voice in your head that tells you you're not smart enough or not good enough. It gets so loud sometimes. It's like, and I've had to be in many ways like their big sister, and see and really saw how, like, when I'm open about who I am and what I've gone through, that, how much it helped them.
One thing the book made me think about was culturally, how different women are like raised in current, because where I come from, it's women run everything.
Yeah.
When my grandma would come up the street with her groceries, it doesn't matter if you were a gangster or whatever,
you were helping her.
you're gonna jump and help her with those bags, and she's gonna say, you do this, you do that, you get off the corner.
Yeah.
And my sister's the same way, my mom's the same way.
Yeah.
So do you think like living in a certain environment, there's like a privilege to being able to be protected and to be perfect, whereas in other environments you'd have to be aggressive because
1,000%. I've been thinking a lot about this, about whether perfection is a white person's privilege, whether women of color, whether I had the same ability, right, to be, same ability to be imperfect as other people did. And I think that it's true. It's like everyone told me, as my father told me all the time, you gotta be twice as better. Like, you can't make a mistake. You're not gonna get a second chance. Every woman of color in my life has been told the same thing. And every black and brown woman says, feels the same way. And so are we able to be imperfect? Are we able to take risks and fail? Less than like 20 black women in the history of our nation have been funded over $1 million for their business idea. When they walk into a room that they're taken to a different standard. So how can we inspire, how can we be brave? And I've been thinking a lot, can we, right?
No,
do we have the freedom to do that?
But it's, it made me think, I also thought about that when we spoke briefly before this interview, when you were saying how, as a young woman growing up, you didn't get to see the princess look like you.
Nope.
So, it's almost like, two things can happen. You can develop some type of resiliency where you have to be 10 times better, like your dad said, or you can feel defeated before you even get started.
Yeah.
How do we change that?
I think with role models. I obsessed with Michelle Obama, right? And it's like,
I think everybody
is. But like,
we like Michelle better than Obama, honestly.
But just hearing her talk about her fertility struggles, hearing her talk about the problems in her marriage, hearing her talk about her own imposter syndrome, you're like, damn, if Michelle can feel that way and still be Michelle, like, okay, maybe it's okay that I'm feeling this way. I don't judge myself as much. So I think like role models are really, really huge. And again, I think having people around you who are going to continue to kind of lift you up, you know, and tell you that you are beautiful, that you are powerful, that you are smart, that you can be everything, that you can be anything. And that's why I think sisterhood's so important. I talk a lot about that in my book.
Accessibility. Young women being able to see other women do amazing things, and they can say, wait a second, you know, if she can do it, I can do it too. So how'd you get into tech?
So I was one of those girls terrified, you know, of math and science growing up. I'm like the weirdest person to have built like this Girls Who Code movement because I wasn't a techie. And I got no excuse because both my parents, you know, came here as refugees, as trained engineers. But I lost my race, and at that time, Facebook was blowing up and Twitter was blowing up, and I was going into these classrooms in New York City and seeing a ton of boys that were learning how to code. And I was like, what about girls like me? I mean, I've had a job since I was 12. My father always said to me, like, your pathway to freedom is economic opportunity. And so I started.
So your first job was coding?
My first job was walking a dog, and then Baskin Robbins, and then retail, and
Like
then telemarketing.
Baskin Robbins sounds like a good job. Telemarketing is like, doesn't sound that fun.
Well, but I learned how to be a hustler.
Okay.
You know?
Selling like doors, door to door.
Oh my God. Yes, basically. And then on the phone, right? Because that used to be like the hot, like, you know, you can make $7 an hour, or, you know, $6.25 or whatever it was.
I think of movies like Boiler Room or like Wall Street, like just on the phone all day.
All day.
Yeah.
You know, but that's what I did. That's what you did. So like for me, it was about the jobs and the opportunity, and the fact that like I didn't want girls and girls of color to be left behind, and that these jobs, automation's happening so fast. And you know, when you look at like entry-level jobs in technology, there are no women, no women of color, no men of color. And so we got to change this, and it means that we got to teach kids to code. And I felt like, you know, we were talking about how our schools are so segregated right now. But what's interesting is like, even if you walk into the best private schools, they're not teaching their kids to code either.
Right.
So it's like the first time you're actually, we all may be starting from the same place, and that maybe we actually can create equal opportunity for all, right? Regardless of your race or your socioeconomic background. So I thought that that was like a huge opportunity to do something impactful.
Do you think anyone can do it?
Yes, 1,000% I think anyone can do it. I've seen it.
Because it seems like if so many people can pick up that skill, then maybe it could be a cure for systemic poverty.
I 1,000% believe that. I think the joke is they want to make you think it's hard. They want to make you think you got to be special and smart to do it. To keep other
exclusive.
people out. And that's, you know, that's what's happening right now, where you're seeing more people, and the pipeline's getting full, but like the jobs are not changing, because I think that people don't give up power easily. You know that.
Right. So talk about your Silicon Valley experience. Your big speech.
My big speech.
And when they're bringing you back, because you wrote this book, now they got to bring you back.
You know, it was really, so listen, when I started Girls Who Code, I think I was a little naive, in the sense of like, my model was to build classrooms in technology companies, because I thought nerds are nerds, right? So like, it doesn't matter if that nerd's a woman or black or brown, like if she can code, if he can code, like the doors are open. And I realized that year after year after year, you know, I would have young women call me and say, I got a 4.0 at Stanford, but I can't get a job at blank company. And I started making a list. And when Reshma Saujani makes a list, it's not good for anybody. And I started really seeing like, oof, oh no, I'm not going to teach all of them, and you're not going to let them in.
Right.
And so I wanted to have an opportunity to really talk about that and to confront the Valley and say, you know, like, look at your privilege, right? Look at your racism. Look at your sexism, right? Let's return back to our roots when we were just trying to like create great code.
And people don't respond to that. They don't like when you hold that mirror up.
No, because they think they're libertarians, right? They don't think that there's real bias. And so we have started at Girls Who Code proving it. You know, I've been surveying my alumni to say, tell me about the interview that you may or may not have gotten the job. Tell me about your experience. And the things that we've found are pretty not great.
Egregious.
Yeah, but you have to start, like, you know, here's the thing. I think you have to start documenting that. And I started also realizing, you know what, they don't have to go all work at Google or Facebook or, you know, why I want to teach them a code so they can start their own companies, right? So they can be their own entrepreneurs. Because you wonder, like, if Mark Zuckerberg was Mary Zuckerberg, or if Sergey and Bryn were, Sujata and Brianna, would you be seeing some of these issues that you're seeing? Would you be seeing our privacy being like spread to everybody? Would you be seeing, sexual harassment payouts in the billions of dollars? I don't know. I think the world would look like a very different place. And I am certainly working every single day to create that world.
And can you see that? Can you see reform happening?
Yes.
Do you feel it?
Oh my God. I mean, when I go to college campuses and I walk into their computer science departments, I see my girls everywhere. My girls are everywhere. I have young women I had a youngest patent at University of Pennsylvania. She built a microchip that you put into a gun. So when it goes off in a place like a school, it alerts the police.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
I had a group of girls build, a game about Harriet Tubman to teach people about slavery.
How many girls have been through your program?
Well, we are about to announce this, but by the spring of 2019, it's going to be 185,000 girls.
Wow.
Yeah, half of them under the poverty line, half of them Black and Latina. So you can't let people tell you that they're not there, or they can't learn, or we can't teach them. That's bullshit. The thing is, we got to break down the door, and we're breaking down the doors, one girl at a time.
And when you do this great work, that matters because it is changing lives on every different level. How do you promote it? Like, how do we get? Why this should be the big story on the front page versus some actor who's a racist who power walks his racism off. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the story. That's not helping people. That's not changing anything.
Yeah. I was thinking a lot about this. I mean, I think that this world we're living in, because of in many ways because of our president, is full of so much more hate and drama. And I think that we have to fight harder to get those good stories out there, right? You have to fight harder to get people interested in hearing about girls or hearing about like everyday bravery, And so I think that we just have to keep pounding the pavement. I don't believe that I need to have like the media elite to do that. Like all of this, but whether it's this book or Girls Who Code, it's all like grassroots.
Right.
Like Girls Who Code is built by the girls. I'm just here to help.
I would rather read about Girls Who Code than read about some other things. But since you brought the president up, and you said that there were 4 women running, do you have a horse in the race yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. You still waiting out?
Listen, I've fell in love hard and got my heart broken too many times. So I just But listen, I think it's very fascinating in terms you have 4 women running. And I really want to see how perfectionism plays out because when we looked at the Hillary versus Trump race, we very much easily discounted gender and said, it wasn't about being a woman, it was about her. She wasn't likable enough. Now you got 4 women, right? And we're going to see whether they can run as authentic women, whether people will judge them, critique them, right? For being flawed, for not being polished every time, whether it's their hair, their makeup, their outfit. It's going to be fascinating to watch, kind of in the rubric of brave, not perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to come on and be like, I'm not perfect, right?
I mean, Williamson is already proposing reparations, so she has my ear.
She's interesting.
Yeah.
It is. They're all. I mean, but I'm going to be harder to get. My vote's going to be harder to get in terms of like I really want.
It's crazy that people would think that a woman would vote for a woman just because it's a woman, or a black person would vote for a black person just because they're black. Like, we don't deserve to be. You gotta let us. What are you gonna do? Like, what do you have?
Yeah.
We're all citizens. We all want certain things. It doesn't matter gender or what we look like. We all need and want certain things, and whatever candidate is going to be best at that is probably the person that's going to get that vote.
I struggle with that though, because I'd love to see a woman. I'd love to see somebody of color. Kamala, half black, half South Asian. Like, that's exciting to me. But I do.
I'm saying, like, I'm not going to vote for Ben Carson just because he's black.
Yeah. I got this with Nikki Haley, right? Like, it's like, sorry, But yeah, I mean, I think I do though think, and I talk about this in the book. Like, it's all far too often though. I will hear women say, "Well, I'm not going to just support her because she's a woman," and I often wonder, we got to get to a place where we're lifting each other up. All things being equal, I want to see a woman elected.
And a woman should be able to say, I'm not going to support him just because he's a man. And all presidents have been men.
Yeah.
You know?
And because I think power as a very male trait.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So are you going to run for office again?
Yes, I will. I don't know when. I don't know what race. But like, I've always been moved by like serving people. And so like when I saw Girls Who Grow, I thought, is this the best way that I could do that? In this moment for me, it's about creating a bravery revolution. But I've always wanted to like give back to my country. And if the best way to do that one day is through public office, like I would definitely consider it.
Well, you know, you need to make sure you let us know so you can come in and we can try to promote it as much as possible. Tell everyone where they can get the book and where your next big event is.
Brave Not Perfect. You can get it on my website, Reshma Saujani. You can get it at Amazon. You can get it at Barnes & Noble. You can get it at your favorite independent bookstore. Like, it is everywhere. Help me build this bravery revolution. Tonight, I'm going to be at 92nd Y. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to be on Good Morning America. And hopefully, I'm going to be in every city and town in the country building this movement. Thanks, Dee.
Thank you.
It's been so much fun.
It's a great book. I highly recommend it. Have a great day.
Thank you.